Hello! Shoyan here. I'm a Japanese carpenter. Last time, the landing was completed. This time, I'll build the straight stairs with 9 steps below the landing and 3 steps above. Let's start. Make the straight stairs. I'll mark the stringers first. This staircase has 14 steps, including the second floor. It would have been better to make it 15 steps, but the landing and first floor ceiling overlap. It can then only have 14 steps, so the height of the staircase will be divided by 14. As I said previously, the stairs are made of Japanese pine. If there are no knots on the stringers, it's okay. When there are knots or curved wood grain, I'll start drawing markings on those without it. Those are easy to determine the position, and process the ones that have knots later. I'll measure and mark the position so that the knots will be hidden. To make the exact dimensions on the front side of the board, I use kegaki, also known as kebiki. It's okay to draw with ink, but if I do so, it may be difficult to remove it, even when planing. Therefore, I don't draw my markings using ink, but use a kebiki. Then I'll mark the long stringer in the same way. There's a slight problem with the stringer with knots in the wood. Also, I tried everything, including reversing it. Another knot still appeared whenever I hit one. I wanted to use a red one, but I couldn't. The sap side was supposed to be used, but the left became the sap side and the right became the hard side. Well, the result looks red and white, which is good. Now that the stringer is marked, I'll start cutting. First, I'll only cut both ends of the board and temporarily put in place. If I cut the entire board and it won't fit, everything I worked on will be ruined. But if I only cut the both ends, I can use it as another material if it doesn't fit. So I'll cut only the top and bottom first, and then put them in place temporarily. Now that both ends are cut, I'll temporarily put them in place. I cut these stairs on the second floor. I usually cut on the first floor, but cutting on the second floor can be quite challenging. I had trouble raising and lowering the stairs for their temporary placements. Place the straight stairs on top of the landing. It overlaps the ceiling of the first floor. Therefore, I'll cut out the smallest part of the ceiling as possible. place the stringer of the 3 steps as well. The stringer will be attached a little to the horizontal support that I installed. Since the height of the floor can be measured properly, I'll use the laser to adjust it. Now that I've confirmed the slope and length of the stringer, I'll cut the thread. When using a cutter, place the ruler on the side of the board remaining. If you place the ruler on the opposite side, the visible part will be scratched if the cutter cuts outward. Therefore, place the ruler on the visible side. Use a piece of wood to see how well the measurements will fit the step. Depending on that, I will use a cutter on the inner side or on the marking line. I'll use a groove cutter which has a 21mm blade for rough cutting for the thread. There's a wider one, but the resistance is stronger, so it's difficult to cut without a guide ruler. I tend to get lazy and just cut without a guide ruler. But I can't use the material anymore if I make a mistake. It's a tense and thrilling job. Now, there are a lot of wood shavings. I'll cut a groove for the wall to enter. Pine wood shavings will stick to my legs. It is resinous, so the wood shavings will be in the way. My groove cutter is old, so please don't look at it too hard. Now that the rough carving has been done by machine, I'll finish with a chisel. When finishing the stairs, I use a large white chisel and hit it. Ordinary chisels for finishing the interior of a building are difficult to use. Pinewood is the easiest material to cut. I can only finish the left side. Some people can finish both the left and right side from the same position, but I can only complete the left side. When completed, it looks like Shoyan's logo mark, isn't it? Now that the stringer has been cut, I'll process the thread. First, I'll decide which will be the front side and then allocate the rest. I'll cut a groove for the riser at the bottom of the thread. Now to finish the materials. I've sharpened the planer So I'll start with the thread, which is important. I've already planed with the super surfacer, but it was not wide enough, so each half of the board was planed in the opposite direction. There's some board that's been torn out. I'll use a hand plane to finish these parts. Chamfer the thread surface a little wider. Chamfer the underside diagonally at the place where the riser will be attached. The riser will tilt if I make the cut to diagonal, but if I cut it just a bit, it will fit firmly. At last, finish the stringer. Planing the stringer is a very dangerous process. If I let my fingers slip even a little from the planer, I'll cut the fingers between the grooves. If that happens, I will get a big blister on my hand. Now, install the stringer. Taking down a stringer from the second floor is so unusual. I'll secure it with long screws. The flooring of the first floor corridor will also be replaced. 30mm floorboards that can be used without joist will be used. I'll raise the stringer by that amount and secure it. Now that the stringer is in place, I'll measure the length of the floorboards with a wooden ruler. In the case of a renovation, not all the threads are the same lengths. Therefore, I'll make rulers of 2 or 3 different lengths. I'm looking at the balance of the thread. There are various boards from white to reddish. In my case, I'll arrange the boards so that the bottom one is the reddest. It's hard to make it neutral, but I try to match the colors according to my taste. Cut the thread to the required length. When cutting a wide range of stick boards, not just plywood, don't initially cut from the front. If you insert the blade all at once, it'll jam or kick back. Therefore, make a small cut on the back first, and then cut slowly from the front. Then chamfer the cutting to be wider. After chamfering, do kigoroshi. Kigoroshi is to tap the edge of the wood slightly to make it dent, so that the thread can easily be inserted. I made a groove 2mm smaller at the stringer part, where the thread will go. So I'm doing kigoroshi like this to fit it in. That way, the board won't get scratched. Last, I'll make an anti-slip mark on the thread. I'll just use a groove cutter to make a round groove on the top of the thread, but it prevents slipping and is also a good shape. Next, install the thread. Since it's made a little tight, I'll hit it with a hammer to insert it. One way to insert the thread is to carve the bottom part diagonally and drive a wedge into it. However, I don't like the method of driving a wedge. I prefer the method of making a slightly tightened groove and do kigoroshi and insert it. To secure, first tighten the screws from the back to the front. After that, secure with 3 or 4 longer screws from the bottom edge. Then apply plenty of water. In that way, the threads that I did kigoroshi will expand and it'll be tightly attached. Adjust the connection part between the thread and the riser. Even if I cut it exactly, it won't immediately fit easily. Therefore, I'll attach and adjust the connection part of each step. Cut the riser. The color of each riser isn't so different. Most of them are sapwood. I'll arrange the beautiful wood grains from the bottom. Chamfer the riser. Chamfer the upper end of the front side to be wider. The riser will warp inward in the middle. Therefore, the front corners of the grooves will overlap. I think I can prevent any trouble from warping by chamfering this part. Tighten the riser firmly in place with more screws. I have to be especially careful with the side part. Use a large drill to make a hole in the cutting of the side. Then make a counter bore in the place where the screw goes and screw it in. If you don't, the cutting will crack from the screw thread. After the screw is in, apply wood glue to the board to prevent cracking. It feels good to work while listening to the piano today as well. Now that the long 3 stairs are finished, I'll start building the upper 3 steps. For these 3 steps, it's not possible to install the stringer and insert the steps. It'll be a temporary assembly. I'll assemble the thread and the riser, and then bring it to the site for installation. Now assemble the 3 threads. Usually, when building a staircase, I'll work from the underside. In this case, however, there is an original ceiling, so I had to install the staircase in a limited space. I don't have much experience with this, but I have to assemble the stairs first and then install them. About the riser, I'll get inside and hammer it in later. Insert the 3 threads and assemble them. I want to secure the 3 steps firmly. Because of the original building, the stairs are built may not be at right angles to each other. Also, it's not temporary. I'll screw only one and then install it. Install the stairs that I temporarily assembled in place using a tension rod. Then check the height with the laser and secure it firmly. Finally, secure the threads firmly. I've decided to work above the ceiling of the first floor. It's my first time I've ever built a staircase from above the ceiling. But it's also the first time I've used the insulation as a futon. A staircase with 5 steps per 1 meter square, which had been dangerous to climb for the past 40 years. It has been completely demolished. The newly built staircases. Oh my goodness! The 5 steps that were so dangerous have been replaced with a single wide landing. The stairs have been revitalized as a safe staircase that can be easily climbed without handrails. The white plaster walls and retro Showa handrails are stylish. The dead space under the stairs has also been turned into a storage space. Now, the room is finished. The renovation work at the site is now complete. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.